young artists, if you enjoy Draw and Paint What You Regret on YouTube and you would like to show your support, you can find Cash App and Venmo information below. This channel is free to watch and learn from. If you like any of my art products, please go to mpbimage.com to purchase. If you purchase, make sure you leave a comment so my product maker know that you've purchased from the YouTube link.
Let you know that. So really quick, let me switch over to my screen. That way we can go over your assignment. And then there we go. So the one thing that I definitely want to talk about when it comes to this assignment, I'm going to start with your actual value scale. And the reason why I want to start there because that was a part of the assignment. And if you understand your values, then that means you're going to do your very best to distribute them properly in the sphere. So to start with this value scale, I do notice that you have a value number six. So having six values really isn't a bad thing. It's actually probably a good thing because it balances out the number of values that you're using. So what I mean by that, you will have three values in your light mask and then three values in your shadow family or your shadow mask. So it actually balances everything out if you are using six values. And typically in any foundation drawing course, you want to make sure that well, technically, you want to make sure that you are getting comfortable with a 1 through 7 or a 1 through 9 value scale. So six is really not bad. It's actually really good for drawing and also painting. So that's really not a huge problem. It's actually a good thing. So let's start with your value one. So value one is the paper, so that is the white. And then value six is your darkest value, which is black. So when I'm looking at your hatching lines, because really I wanted to make sure that you're getting comfortable with using hatching lines, whether they're vertical, 45-degree lines, horizontal lines, so on and so forth, and build up a flat tone of value. So the one thing I am noticing is that we can see the white of the paper with your values, the tones of your values. So you want to make sure you are covering the white of the paper. That way you have a flat tone. And so the one thing that I'm seeing is your value two feels pretty good for a value two. And I do see that you have vertical hatching lines. And also value three feels pretty good. And I also see that you have vertical hatching lines for your value three. I do believe your value three needs to be maybe a half a shade darker. And that's a maybe. I'm not 100% sure because it feels good with this six value scale, but we want that value three to be a mid tone. So it needs to be in the middle. One thing I did notice is you kind of stayed with just one direction of hatching lines, and that's vertical hatching lines. And I also noticed that your value four and five is very similar. So you always want to make sure that each step, each value step, each key has their own identity. That's very important. That way, we have a clear idea of what is your value one. Is it white? A value two, is that a light gray? A value three, is that a mid-tone gray? So on and so forth. So, an easy way to fix this is just make your value six darker because you do have room to go darker. And that'll allow you to make your value five darker and it'll allow you to separate the different identities of the values. So I definitely would suggest for you to do that, and I definitely will help you have a clear idea of what your value scale, your linear value scale should look like. So from here, let's move into the sphere. So the one thing I definitely want to say is I do know, I think in your notes on where you did say that you did blend a little bit, and I'm very happy that you didn't overblend because sometimes young artists will overblend. And the fact that I can still see your line work is a very good thing. So I definitely want to say thank you to that you didn't overblend. It does, I can see that you blended, but I also can see that you did do your best to maintain your hatching lines. Another thing while we're on hatching lines, I want to talk about cross hatching. I wish you would have explored cross hatching just a bit more because that definitely helped with modeling the form and turning the form. That's the thing. When we're, as artists, we're given the illusion of something that is 3D on a 2D surface. So we have to give the illusion of form and turning a form. I think because we didn't have those cross those cross-hatching lines turning with the form as you are building your values. I think that would have that kind of made your sphere fall a little bit more flat. And that's how we're kind of reading it. It's a little bit more flat. Now, let's talk about distribution of values and also distribution of light ledger principles, because once again, they go together. So the one thing I am proud of you and what you have done, I do clearly see your five values. I do clearly see how you distribute them with light ledger principles. So I know this is your value one, which is your highlight. I know this is your value two, which is your lightest mid-tone. And I know this is your value three, which is your darkest mid-tone. I do see your shadow edge that is here. I do see your reflected light, which your reflected light is darker than your darkest mid-tone. I do see your core that is here. It could, here's the thing, I know it was a white sphere, so it could have been a little bit darker, but I think it's just kind of best to not go too dark with a white sphere. I do see your pit that's here. You could have gotten a little bit darker with your pit. Always keep in mind that sphere in the table, there's no light hitting down there, so that can definitely be a value five or a very pure black. And then of course you have about three different values in your cast shadow, which is always good so that you didn't run into a black pit when you start to render. Another thing that I am noticing is that you probably drew in the drawn with a harder pencil, probably like a 9H or a 6H. Only reason why I'm saying that is nothing wrong with doing that because I know you just wanted to start your drawing very light. You just want to make sure if you're using a harder pencil that is lighter, make sure you're paying attention to your hand weight. Only reason why I'm saying that because I can see the grooves that is in the paper from you trying to shade over it. So when we start to make grooves in our paper, typically that's going to pop up and show when we start the rendering process with light and shade. So just next time, make sure if you're going to use that pencil, just use a light hand. That way, you don't run into putting grooves into your paper or even tearing your paper. That can happen as well, or punching holes into your paper. Sometimes when we move into harder pencils, that can happen. So once again, when it comes to distribution of values and distribution of your light logic principles, all of that is definitely there. The one thing I would suggest in the future to work on, and I think this will definitely help your drawings, is work on using cross-hatching and work on having smoother transitions from one value to the next, because that's really what I'm seeing is that your transitions are very abrupt from one value to the next. And if you want things to look more realistic, I definitely would suggest just practicing having smoother transitions from one value to the next. I think also what probably would have helped is using a harder graphite pencil to kind of blend or smear some of the softer graphite around. That would definitely help with smoother transitions as well. Other than that, I think you did a really great job. I love all the little notes that is over the actual drawing. That's always a good thing. It's always a good thing to have those notes because typically when we're working in class, um, it's really just an experimentation. It's just you practicing. It's not a huge end product because you're learning. So the fact that you left notes for yourself always does help because if you try to do this drawing again, you're going to do a great job at what you need to do as far as what you need to change or make better because you have those notes that are there to kind of help you with that process. So let me stop sharing really quick. I just wanted to say thank you. Hopefully this video is not too long and hopefully you get what you need out of this feedback video. I definitely want to say I hope you had a great year this year and also I hope that you had a great holidays and hopefully I see you again in the future. But I'll talk to you later, Chris. Bye.